On the 26th of January 2024, Jurgen Klopp announced he would be leaving Liverpool at the end of the 2023-24 season, ending a 9-year stint at the club in which he'd win the club their first Premier League title, their 6th Champions League, 2 League Cups and 1 FA Cup. And a lot of fans were like, whoa, this really is an end of an era. It was a sad day for Scousers around the world. Unless you're a blue Scouser, that is, an Evertonian. But I digress. And people are like, what's next? What is next? We were awful before Klopp. Not like historically, but you know what I mean. They were bad before Klopp. Klopp comes in, he changes the life of a lot of these young Liverpool fans that never got to witness how great they used to be back in the day. And well, now they're like, wow, what is next? And after, it being leaked, it being all but confirmed, on the 20th of May 2024, Arne Slot, Feyenoord manager, would be announced as Liverpool's new manager, Jurgen Klopp's predecessor. Well, he had a big shoes to fill. Very, very big shoes to fill. Because it's like Moyes taking over from Ferguson, Unai Emery taking over from Wenger. You are taking over from a legend and you have a lot to live up to. And the new era isn't off to the best start, if I do say so myself. But before I get into why I think that Liverpool could be in trouble this season or in the coming years, please do like the video if you enjoyed and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Obviously, we have just reached 400 subscribers. I'm so grateful for that. Literally at the start of 2024, I only had like 90-ish subscribers. I want to say 95. And now I'm sat here on 408 as we record this video, and I just can't thank you guys enough for your support, and it really is appreciated. And I do continue to keep up. I do intend to keep up these videos and continue growing the channel, so stick around for that. And if this is the first video of mine you're watching, please do check out the rest of the videos on the channel after you finish this one by clicking the channel button down below. And you won't regret it, and it also might encourage you to subscribe even more. So without all that being said, why do I think Liverpool are in trouble coming into this new era? And it's because of the board, mostly. Obviously, it has been known that Liverpool fans do not have the best relationship with FSG because, well, they're reluctant to spend money. They're reluctant to spend money a lot of the time. It's a lot like United and the Glazers. They have an issue. Well, it's on a lesser scale, should I say, but the money spent argument is an argument that both clubs will make about their owners, that although they do spend money, and rival fans will point this out, they'll be like, oh, you spent 100 million euros on Nunez, you spent 80 million pound on Anthony. Yes, these owners are spending money, but I do feel that these signings, such as Anthony, such as Darwin, are their signings made to keep the fans happy. It's just big money spent so that they can say they spent the money, and fans can't argue that they're not spending the money. Have these two transfers that I've just named been very successful? No, not really. But yeah, Liverpool fans believe that their board is reluctant to spend money, and I somewhat agree with that. I do somewhat agree with that, and I do somewhat sympathise with the fans in this situation, because they do have a history of it. They do have a history of not very spending much money, and they had a history of that under Klopp, and Klopp kind of bailed them out in a lot of senses by overperforming the expectations that were had of him when he came into the club, and the expectations that he had of the squad, especially in the early years of their success with Klopp. And that definitely did bail out FSG on multiple occasions, because other than the summer of 2018, I can't really think of a time where they've spent big. They've spent a lot of money to bolster the squad and really improve the squad. And I don't really think that the squad has improved much since then. Obviously, it has improved with the likes of Jota, Darwin, Diaz, Konate coming in. It has improved slightly, but I just don't think the overall level of the squad has been taken up, and I think the squad sort of stagnated at that point. And obviously that's not a bad thing to say, because that came at the time where they won the Champions League, won the league, and that's when they really started winning trophies. But that era has come to an end. You've got players like Mane that are no longer at the club, Firmino that is no longer at the club, Matip no longer at the club, right? Fabinho no longer at the club, right? These key people that were key to Liverpool's success in past years are no longer at the club. Obviously, Klopp has just left. Thiago, despite the fact that he didn't play that much football due to his availability while at Liverpool being quite poor, he has just retired. Joel Matip obviously just left on a 3. That these are voids in the squad that need to be filled this season, especially with the Matip one, because Konate has struggled with injuries. Van Dijk is getting older and is also starting to struggle with injuries ever since coming back from that ACL injury. And I just think the centre-back area is quite weak. Obviously, they've got Konza and Gomez, but I think Gomez definitely fits being a backup and a backup fullback better than he does a backup centre-back. I think he definitely plays the fullback position for Liverpool a lot better than he does centre-back. Obviously, Kwanzaa, he's a great talent, great up-and-coming talent, very good player from what I've seen, but I just don't think he's ready to play a lot of games in the season, like a heavy load of games in the season. Obviously, you look at Thiago retiring, that is another midfield option lost, despite the fact that he didn't play that many games. Added on to losing Milner, Henderson and Fabinho the season before, and only bringing in 3 midfielders, being Endo, McAllister and Szoboszlai, that does weaken an already weak area for Liverpool, being their midfield has always been the issue, and now they've just no depth really at all. Obviously, they have Stefan Bajcetic, who is a very promising talent, and could definitely be the starting 6 in a few years, but I just don't think he's ready to take on that role yet. You've also got Curtis Jones, who I don't think's good enough. He's one of those players where he'll have a good 2 run of games and you'll be like, wow, Curtis Jones is really starting to come on, he's really going to fulfill his potential now, and then he just slumps back into mediocrity and you're like, why is he still at Liverpool? Why do they keep giving him so many chances? Obviously, Harvey Elliott, who is a very good talent, but I do feel like he's wasted in the midfield, and he's definitely more of an attacking option. I think he's better on the wing than he is in the midfield, personally, anyway. But yeah, so you look at that, their midfield depth isn't the greatest, and honestly, I don't think Szoboszlai has been that great since he signed for Liverpool. I think out of the 3 midfielders that they signed last season, I think McAllister is the only one I can say has been 100% a success. Obviously, Endo has exceeded expectations. He was kind of a panic buy because they couldn't really find the ideal 6 that they were willing to spend the money on, so they brought him in. Obviously, he's exceeded expectations, but he's not a long-term option. I do feel like they definitely do need to upgrade on him, and yeah, McAllister's the only one that I think's been quality throughout the whole time at Liverpool. And then you look at the front line. I think Diaz, I don't think he's good enough. I think he's an excellent ball carrier, excellent on the ball, but in the final third, he's definitely not good enough. And again, Darwin is also not good enough in the final third, and his positioning is poor. He gets caught offside too often. Reminds me a lot of Jesus. Gabriel Jesus is a very good on the ball. He's a very good technical footballer, and he can cause the back line a lot of problems. But he's not clinical enough, and his positioning and being able to stay onside is not good enough, and that's why neither of these people really work as an out-and-out 9 for me. So I think Diaz and Darwin, I don't think are really good enough to be competing for league titles. Personally, anyway, as your starting option, potentially as a backup, but I don't think either of them should be your starting option. Obviously, Gakpo is coming off a very good Euros performance, and I think definitely playing a big part. He could be their main man next season up top, and definitely looks to be exciting prospect for the upcoming season. Jota again, excellent goal scorer for Liverpool, but I feel like he misses more games through injury than he actually plays. Jota seems to be injured quite a lot, and I think his availability is definitely going to be an issue. And obviously you've got Salah, the main man. His contract runs out at the end of the season, and with increased interest from Saudi Arabia and the fact that if they want to tie him down to a new contract, they're going to have to spend a lot of money on his wages, despite the fact that he is an aging footballer. The same goes for Van Dijk. His contract is up at the end of the season as well. Again, the same sort of issue. Quality player, but are you really going to want to spend big money to renew his contract when he is getting on in years and he might not have many years at the top level left? The only contract that is expiring at the end of the season that I think is definitely worth looking at, and is one that you have to tie him down to a long-term deal no matter how much he wants a week, is Trent Alexander-Arnold. Obviously Trent, born and bred Liverpool fan, Scouser through and through, probably one of the best players in his position, one of the best creators in the world from that right side, and being one of the most important players in this Liverpool side, obviously along with Salah and Van Dijk. But Trent has age on his side. He's a lot younger than the other two, and he's really is coming into his prime. So obviously there are rumours that he'll run down his contract and leave for Real Madrid in the summer, which would be very disappointing for Liverpool fans, and I'm sure that would break their hearts a lot. But I feel like you just throw as much money as you can at Trent and lock him down for a long time, because losing him would definitely set the club back a good few steps, and that's not a position that Liverpool can afford to be in at the moment, especially with the fact that they've got a new manager coming in, and as of right now they haven't made any signings. They're the only team in Europe's top 5 leagues to have not made a single signing this transfer window. And when you've got a new manager coming in, the board will usually back the manager and usually allow him to spend more money than they usually would in the transfer window, because they want this manager to build a team that can play his type of football, players that fit his style of play, and players that he wants to work with. But at the moment, Arne Slot is going to be going into the season with Jurgen Klopp's team, a team that can play Jurgen Klopp's football. Can they play Arne Slot's brand of football? Potentially. We don't know. We will see at the start of the season. I'm not really too interested in taking pre-season results in, because I don't think they matter too much. It's all about just building fitness and giving the young players chance to try prove themselves to the manager. So, I'm not really too interested in pre-season results. We will see at the start of the season whether these players can play Slot's style of play. But FSG really do need to start spending money fast, because this is an aging squad. And obviously, especially with those 3 big players that I've said, contracts are running out. You do need to start thinking of replacements. Robertson's also not getting any younger, and he's been key to the success. And I just think they're in a very similar position that City are at the moment, actually, where we're in a sort of position where our players have got us through this period of extreme success are starting to show decline. De Bruyne isn't getting any younger, and his fitness is starting to be a bit of a concern. You've got Bernardo Silva, who just doesn't look as good as he did even a season ago. And obviously Rodri, we need a 6 as well, just like Liverpool. We both need a 6. Obviously ours, we've got a world-class first option, but we need a backup so that he can get rest and he doesn't keep getting injured. We've got players that's availability isn't good enough. You've got Calvin Phillips, you've got Cancelo that we need to get off of the wage bill, because they're not going to play. They've had a falling out with the manager. They're not going to play at the club. And we've just got positions that we're weak in. And we also haven't really done much in the transfer window. Obviously, we signed Savio at we technically signed him this window, but the deal was done ages ago, before the end of last season. And I think we are definitely the team more likely to make more signings because of our history in the transfer market and the nature of our board. We're definitely the team more likely to make signings, but I do find it worrying that we haven't really done much in the market yet. But moving back to Liverpool, I just can't see them at the moment making any signings. The only link that I've been seeing as of recent is the ongoing saga with Anthony Gordon, bringing him back to the city of Liverpool, obviously after leaving Everton to join Newcastle. And I don't see that one happening. I think they've longed out too much. And that is, and again, another problem with Liverpool and their transfers. They can't get a transfer done quickly. They wait too long. They try to negotiate the lowest of the lowest price, when sometimes you've just got to bite the bullet and spend the money. You look at Jude Bellingham, obviously they spent years trying to get Jude Bellingham. They spent at least a season, 2 seasons trying to get Jude Bellingham. He ends up getting his head turned by the project at Madrid, joins Madrid. Madrid probably have the best team in the world right now, and the best team in the world for many years to come, with some of the talent they've got in their squad. So that's an understandable decision for Jude to make. Then you've got Caicedo and Enzo, both players that ended up at Chelsea for big money, and both of these players were on Liverpool's radar for a long time. And Caicedo especially, Caicedo could have been done a lot earlier. Same with Lavia as well. Lavia, a 6 again. Someone I mentioned in my video about Pep Guardiola, someone that could have solved City's problem. Again, could have solved Liverpool's problem. They could have paid the money, but they weren't willing to pay that much money for Lavia. Bam, he goes to Chelsea. Yes, might not have had the best season due to injuries, but again, he still would have been very, very important for Jurgen Klopp's men last season. And probably again the same with Caicedo. It's just more midfield depth. And again, they weren't really willing to spend the money, and they left it a bit too late, and the transfer saga got a bit confusing, and he ended up going to Chelsea, right? So Liverpool need to be a lot more quick with their decision makings when it comes to signing players. I think they've just got to be ready to spend the money as much as FSG don't want to, because if they don't spend money this summer, and they don't tie these 3 players down to a contract, mostly Trent, they need to tie Trent down to a big contract, a long contract, or else it takes the club years back in progress. And obviously Salah and Van Dijk, you either need to let them go at the end of the season because you're not willing to pay their wages, and have a replacement lined up, and a suitable replacement at that, or you need to bite the bullet and then sign them on for at least 1 more year to give you more time to identify a replacement, or else it's going to be a long few years for Liverpool, I feel. So let me know down below your opinions on the topic, especially if you're a Liverpool fan. I know I've got a few Liverpool fans in the fan base, in the communities. Let me know your opinions on your summer. Are you nervous for the upcoming seasons, the season and the seasons ahead, with the way that your transfer business is looking so far? Are you nervous for the start of the Slot era in the Premier League, or are you excited and you can't wait for the season to get underway? With all that being said, again, if you enjoyed the video, please do like the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And check out the rest of the videos on the channel. 2 of them will be ready for you to watch, to click on and watch at the end of this video when I finish this sentence. But with all that being said, I've been Nathan. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.
Shut down cases, they belly dots to the can't see faces. Chasing the bad guy, chase it. You don't wanna be the one like Ace and like GTA, tryna turn them out wasted. Aye, tell a bad bitch come break it. Body come mad, come shake it. Shit then, get back to the basics. Bro, done shut down cases, they belly dots to the